Hello, fellow Vaulties, couriers, and just general wastelanders out there. I'm Matty Flames of the Almost Gamers podcast, and today I'm going to talk to you about Fallout New Vegas. Viva New Vegas! So I know a lot of people just finished up watching Season 2 of the incredible Fallout series on Amazon, and that brings a lot of people, just like in Season 1, interested in playing the game, both new and old. Either coming back to it because I haven't played it in a while, or want to see, hey, what is this game actually all about? And specifically, after this season takes place in New Vegas, it might lead you to want to, play Fallout New Vegas. And if you're like me and you haven't played Fallout New Vegas since it came out 15 years ago, which is almost unbelievable it's been that long. So I kind of forgot a lot about this game. And I was thinking, man, I'd love to jump back in, but can I really get into a game that is 15 years old? Now, some people have no problem playing retro games, for all their warts and all. It's just still fun. It's part of the charm. For me, I don't know. Well, luckily, you can have a choice. You can play just as it was back in the day, or if that doesn't really do it for you, you can use some mods and make it kind of right up there with a modern first-person shooter. So today, that's what we're going to talk about, modding New Vegas in 2026 and enjoying it again for the first time. So come on, follow me into the wasteland. Fallout New Vegas was released on October 19th, 2010, a Tuesday. Fun fact, back in the day, most games were released on Tuesdays. That's one of the reasons why I figured it released on Tuesday, and I looked that up just to be sure. Now, this game was actually developed by Obsidian, which is why a lot of people say it was their favorite Fallout game. It was still published by Bethesda and used their engine. It was almost like a DLC, a very large DLC for Fallout 3, which is why it still has a lot of the quirks of that game and very much so still feels like a Bethesda game. Although a lot of the ideas and the story and that kind of stuff were very Obsidian. So kind of the best of both worlds, but also the worst of parts too. I remember playing it. It was either on release day or the day after, and it was buggy. Now, I know a lot of Bethesda games get called out for having issues, and, the issue with this one, it wasn't just that some weird glitches or game crashes. I had a couple of those, but the big issue was a save game problem. The autosave basically didn't work and sometimes would corrupt all of your saves. So unless you were manually saving, you could lose, like I did, quite a bit of game time. I think even the quick save wasn't working. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember losing about an hour of gameplay. And I don't know if you know me, but I hate it when I lose something like that. It just drives me nuts. I got past it. It got patched pretty quick, so that was cool. But there was something else about the game in that time. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time with it. But I don't know if I had other things going on in my life. I can't remember. But I only got about 15 hours into the game and then just kind of quit on it. I do remember a big part of it was I loved my companions like EDE, or was it Eddie? I can't remember. And also Cassie. But in this game, they could die, and I hated them dying, so I'd always reload, and I was just constantly worried about them dying. It actually ruined from my experience of the game. Fun fact, Todd Howard said he recognized that problem, and that's why in Fallout 4 he made it so the companions were unkillable. Regardless, again, I kind of gave up on the game. I was always sad about it. I had some friends, Steve Hutch, that really thought it was, and a lot of people think it was the best Fallouts ever, and I always kind of regretted that I never went back to it to finish it. And, well, here's the time, right? It's been 15 years, the show's there, and let's do it. Let's delve back into this wasteland, kind of the desert themed. Now, you can purchase this game on Steam and just play it as is, perfectly fine. I believe a lot of those issues are patched and pretty much good. But if you really kind of want to experience smoothed out quality life things like that, adjusted and improved upon, lucky for you, there are a whole bunch of mods out there. So let's talk about mods, or modding, a little bit. Many games have these features. Sometimes they're built in and they're just little, sometimes they're huge. A lot of times they kind of have to crack the game open and do a lot of programming to be able to do this kind of modding. Bethesda games are different. For better or for worse, they use the creation engine. I know there's a lot of ups and downs about it, but one of the major reasons they stick to it is how easily users can mod it. And with certain other tools like Nexus mods and their Vortex, the modding is almost super easy and like a one-click process. Sorta. We'll get into that. So maybe kind of daunting to use mods, but if you just follow some directions off the internet, I assure you, even if you have no programming skills whatsoever, you'll be able to figure out. And I'm here to walk you through one of those mods. Now, there's a whole bunch. There's thousands of mods out there. And you might be thinking, oh, what do I even want to pick? Well, there's some choices you can do, and there's some things you can do to make it much easier. Now, a lot of people talk about the vanilla version of the game. That's basically the unmodded version of the game, or it even can kind of refer to the game being pretty much as close to the original as possible, just for you a few graphical tweaks and fixes and bug squashes to make sure everything runs smooth. So you have the vanilla version of the game, it's just running a little bit better. Now, I'm not going to talk about any of those here. I believe Viva Las Vegas is one of those kind of mod instructions, if you will, or collections that kind of give you that. But what we're going to talk about today is the new Vegas collection by Very Last Kiss, and you can find it on Nexus Mods. Nexus is a great site. It's a great community. It's a great place to find mods. It can be kind of daunting. So something with the new Vegas is it allows you to download and install over 800 mods just in, bam, one go. Now, there's a little bit of tweaks and things you have to do to get it running, and that's what we're going to kind of walk through. But really, if you just follow the fantastic directions on the Nexus mods, you're going to be pretty much good to go. Now, one of the first things you'll see is that they suggest very much that you upgrade to Nexus Premium. Now, you can do this for free for 3 days, and just install everything then, bam, cancel it, no money charged. Now, I decided to keep my membership for at least 1 month. For one, help support the community. I really love all the work everyone did here on this one. And once you pay for at least 1 month, you become a supporter for lifetime. So you'll have access to certain things you wouldn't on just a normal unpaid Nexus account. Again, it's up to you what you want to do, if you want to spend the money or not. I'll leave that up to you. Now, as I said, there's a lot of mods within this collection, and it's a little bit big. It's around 30 gigabytes or so, which just be prepared for that. The big thing with the free versus premium is download speeds. It's going to take a lot longer if you're on the free version. If the premium version, you have access to faster servers and faster download times. So that's probably worth it right there. Either way, go ahead, go to that page and follow those directions step by step. There are some things that are going to pop up that have actually been smoothed out since, and it's just kind of like, oh, in case this happens. So if something doesn't pop up as an issue, don't worry about it. It was just already fixed. Now, one of the prerequisites is, well, you need to own Fallout New Vegas. And not only that, you need to own all of the DLCs. Now, I'd purchased Fallout New Vegas, again, way back in the day, and still showed up in my Steam library, but there wasn't a way to, well, I could have just bought all the DLCs as an add-on, as extra, but it was actually cheaper for me just to get the deluxe edition. It actually ran me $19.99, and I got the game again, plus all the DLC, and yeah, that's the way to go. Love to support Bethesda anyways. Now, another important thing to remember, it needs to be a fresh install, so if you already have Fallout New Vegas installed from even years ago, you gotta delete it. And this walks you through how to completely remove the game. I haven't played it in so long. It obviously wasn't on this laptop that I'm using at all. So I was able to do a fresh install, except there is a little bit of a caveat. You cannot install it into the folder program files or even the Windows folder. If you install your Steam games onto a secondary drive, which is awesome, which a lot of people do, which is what I used to do when I had a secondary drive. This laptop only has one drive though, and the way to work around that and have Steam install games in a separate subfolder is very complicated. But there are clear directions on the Nexus page. Just follow them and bam, it'll show you how to go about installing Steam games somewhere else. Okay, so just keep following those directions. You'll get to a part where you're in Nexus and you're actually downloading and installing the mods. Now, it says on there that you're going to have some screens pop up like that helmet, and it'll say what to do. Well, I kept watching for that and couldn't find it. I'm like, what's going on here? And I realized it popped under, so it was hidden by my other screens. So I had to go there and then find it and fix that. So it's okay. It didn't seem like it was a timing-based thing, so just, be aware that some things might be pop up, but then it'll get buried with other newer windows. Got it? Now, another issue I had was in step 12. It has you search for LOD under the column MOD. Now, when I looked at it, there was no MOD column, and I was very confused by that. Then I realized because it was hidden. So go up in the corner there, click this little settings, little gear thing, click on the MOD, and bam, the column pops up. Type LOD in there, bam, there's the little plugins they were talking about for you to disable. Now, under step 15, it tells you that you can't just launch it normally through Steam. You have to use a separate launcher. And it shows you how to make that shortcut. That's all well and good. But what it doesn't tell you is that you have to have Steam running prior to clicking on that shortcut in that launcher. Most people probably have your Steam set up so it starts up anyways when computer turns on. I have this turned off for various reasons, mainly because I don't like it downloading stuff while I'm trying to do other shit here on this channel for you. But so yeah, just make sure you open up Steam, have it running in the background, and then click on your little launcher. Got it? Now, also in that step 15, it tells you that you want to make some setting changes if you're using an ultra-wide monitor. I'll tell you what, I was super surprised that this whole mod actually included ultra-wide monitor support, and it's fantastic that it does that, and made me very happy, and yet again very excited to jump back into New Vegas. So yeah, go into settings and then tweaks, and then look for that ultra-wide support, and then also go into the pause menu and hit that N, go to the presets, and make sure you pick ultra-wide support there. What that part right there does is make it so that pause menu kind of fits into the ultra-wide. It's kind of weird, but yeah, just one of the things you have to do manually if you're doing ultra wide support. That step also talks about going into the MCM under the pause menu or the mod configuration menu. This is where you're going to find a lot of tweaks for a lot of the major mods that this game installed. We'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. Important thing here is to go into that melee bash under the B42. Want to switch it to something else, they suggest left alt. I actually use my mouse button 4, which worked pretty good for me. The important part is not have it on X, because X is already binded to bullet time. More on that in a bit. I'll also talk more about the whole MCM menu and the tweaks menu. They're confusing at first, like what's going on, but it's basically a way to adjust your mods. Steps 16 and 17 talk about kind of how to make it smoother running and more efficient. I did them. I don't really know if they helped at all, but it wasn't too hard, so hey, maybe won't run into problems down the line. It also talks about installing the NVR, which totally changes the lighting in the game, makes it kind of more dynamic, more modern, and actually pretty cool looking. But in my case, it totally tanked the FPS to the point where it was unplayable. Now, could I maybe adjust and tweak some settings? Right now, everything is running on Ultra. Probably, and maybe down the line, once you get to the Vegas Strip, I want to see those cool lightings. But right now, I don't think the bonus lighting tweaks were worth it, so I just turned that mod off. You can see here in the video for yourself whether or not you think it's, worth it. If you're playing a super crazy rig, maybe it's not an issue, so just, hey, go for it. Speaking of performance, I'm running this game on my wonderful Razer laptop. It's using a 12th generation Core i7. It's got 16 gigabytes of RAM and has a GeForce GTX 3070 Ti graphics card. So it's a couple years old, but it's still, kind of beefy. But this is technically a 15-year-old game, although the mods kind of bring up the, beef that it needs to run a little bit. But probably whatever you have will work. I found that, at least with that NVR off, I was running at around 30 to 40 frames per second when I was outside in the wasteland, just a whole bunch of things going on. But when I'm in small areas, like indoors, I was hitting 170 FPS, like no problem. So it really depends on what all's going on, but it runs, pretty smooth, so that's good. Now, this whole process took me quite a few hours. Part of that is because I was kind of doing it as I was doing other things, especially when it was downloading and installing. I went, had dinner, and a couple other things came back. Oh, hey. And I also had a lot of hang-ups on the one trying to install it with only one drive. And then I had the hang-ups trying to do that whole NVR thing. And I had a problem trying to find that MOD column when I was trying to search for the LOD files. So now, hopefully, with my experience and failures, I've imparted upon you a little bit of knowledge, and it won't take you nearly as long to get this up and running. Really, the best thing I can say is just follow the directions, and man, they'll walk you right through most of it. Now, you might be asking, was all of this worth it? And I say resoundingly, yes. If you're the kind of person that doesn't mind the old graphics, as I said, and the old kind of old gameplay things, then yeah, don't bother with all this. But really, some quality of life updates I just can't imagine not having. We'll talk a little bit about that. But let's just talk in general about the graphics. I mean, I think they look great, right up there with a lot of FPSs. Better than some of the FPSs out there right now. Now, I have to admit, I really don't remember quite what it looked like. I've seen screenshots, I've seen some things like that, but I can just tell by looking at it like, oh, this is not that looking like that old of a game. It's definitely overhauled. Now, I'm not gonna do comparisons of vanilla versus New Vegas. There's plenty of videos out there for that and screenshots directly on the Nexus page. So I'm more going for general feel and vibes of the quality of life adjustments and things like that you can actually tweak. Now, if you go into that settings and then tweaks, you'll see there's a whole lot of settings you can, tweak. If it has a little square next to it, that means it's on and running. Most of those mods, if you turn them off or on, it does require a restart. So just be aware of that. So if you make a lot of changes or turn things off and on, you're like, why isn't it showing up? Well, it's probably you need to restart for them to show up. The MCM menu is yet another place where you can tweak some mods. And I said these are more of the core gameplay fixes or changes. I don't call it fixes, but sometimes, yes, I do. Now, the great part is a lot of this, completely up to you. You can completely turn them off, on, or tweak them indefinitely for just exactly how you want to play. If you don't want to worry about it, then don't worry about it. Don't even go into those menus. It's probably fine. Or if there's some things you remember how the game used to be and you don't like these new changes, go ahead and turn them off. But I do want to go over some things that are more than likely things you are going to want to change, fix, or just be aware of, like, oh yeah, this wasn't in the original game. First and foremost, and I had to look this one up because this is crazy to me, is Fallout New Vegas didn't have sprint. Technically, you had walk and run, but the walk was like a really slow walk that I can't imagine using, except maybe if you're trying to work your way around a minefield. So this setting is under Enhanced Move It in the MCM menu, and you can turn it off or on. You can also adjust. By default, when you sprint, it uses up AP. You can turn that off if you want, but I kind of like that. So you have the ability now to run, but there is a little cost for that. Once you run out of AP, you have to stop, catch your breath. As soon as it's back, you can go. But it's neat because you don't want to keep running directly into combat, because then you won't have enough AP left to get that VATS up and running. Okay, this next one I want to talk about is something I clearly remember that annoyed me with New Vegas, is the lack of weapon scrolling. You could not use the scroll wheel to switch between weapons. You had to use the number keys, which seems like a minor thing, but it bothered the shit out of me playing that game. If you go under MCM and then the just mods, you'll see a setting called H wheel. I don't know why wheel spelled HWEEL, but that's why he did it. Whatever, it's fine. But you can adjust how a weapon wheel pops up, which is fantastic. As you can see here, I did it so if you hold down tab, you can go ahead and select weapons, or turn your light on the Pip-Boy off and on, or you can tap in the center to open up your Pip-Boy, or if you just tap tab, then your Pip-Boy opens up directly. It takes a little bit getting used to that kind of way it works, but I love it. And you'll also notice that time slows down when the weapon wheel is up, which I love. Again, that's something that a lot of modern games have. And in that mod setting, you can actually adjust that, whether or not it does slow down, or whether it stops entirely, or how much it slows down. As I said, everything is infinitely tweakable if you want it. If not, just roll with it. Now, while we're talking about that, in the original game, you could not change what your scroll wheel did. It's not just that you couldn't make it scroll through your weapon. You couldn't make it do anything other than change POV from first person to third person. You could click it to make it immediately switch, or scroll to make it zoom out and zoom back in. Again, I hated it. I mean, some people might like playing in third person. This game, I don't think works very well at all. I just did not like the fact that I couldn't pick how to change that. Now, you can go into that tweak menu, search for wheel, and you can see you can turn off scroll wheel changes point of view. Now this is important for the next step. Search for alt mouse wheel scrolls weapon. If you turn that on, bam, you can scroll through your little preset weapons with the mouse wheel. But if you don't turn off the wheel turns your point of view, then it's going to kind of be bound to both and cause weird things to happen. So yeah, just make sure you turn off change of point of view, and if you want, go ahead, turn it on to scroll through weapons. Now that the scroll wheel no longer changes point of view, you might be like, oh cool, now I want to do the press of the scroll wheel to do something else. Like I always wanted to do V, or enter the VATS. So I'm like, cool, but you still can't. I don't know why, but Fallout New Vegas, even with all these mods, at least as far as I can go looking through the tweak setting, you cannot make the push in the scroll do anything, at least not directly. There is a workaround there. If you have Razer products in their Synapse software, you can go ahead and make any button behave exactly as you want it to. I'm sure there's plenty of other gaming mice and even non-gaming mice that also have these options. So what I did is just make that scroll boop, act as though I was pressing the V key, which activates my VATS. So bam, now I'm happy. I got a nice weapon wheel. I can activate my VATS. It's all great. The game finally behaves like I've always wanted it to. Some of the other small quality of life adjustments are, you'll notice that when you go to pick something up, rather than just like disappearing from the screen and popping in your inventory, your arm actually reaches out and grabs it, which is kind of cool. I don't know that I like it. You probably can turn it off. I haven't bothered with it. Same with when you kill an animal, it will stab and skin it, which is cool. But it does take some time. It got a little annoying after a while, but I realized if you just hit RR, R will open up the inventory over the animal, and then R again to take all. Bam, skips that entire animation step. So it's nice. Now I can kind of pick, do I want to do it? Do I not want to do it? I don't know, but I like that option. There's other little animations like that, like when you discover a new location, you'll pull out your Pip-Boy and you'll see it get marked onto your Pip-Boy that oh, you found this new town. Little stuff like that I'm pretty sure was not there in the original. It's just, you know, I like that kind of stuff, man. What can I say? On that kind of same note, when you get close to radiation pulls and stuff, it's neat. For one, the Geiger counter, I think before it didn't click realistically. I know this is something crazy, and Kyle Hill will agree with me. It just didn't quite, it wasn't realistic of a Geiger counter, whatever. So it seems more better now. But also there's kind of this fog that occludes, and it looks like, hey, you're going in with radiation, like the screen gets all fuzzy and stuff. And again, I love little stuff like that. Just it immerses you more. Another thing this adds are backpacks and duffel bags and things like that, which is pretty neat. So like this backpack here, it increases your carrying capacity, but it also affects your agility and sneak, which makes sense. This is adding something to the game, but in a realistic, kind of more immersive way. And these are the kind of mods I really like. Then there's the things that kind of adjust some of the general gameplay and collectible mechanics. Let me just explain, give you an example. So the karma system, do good, do bad, it didn't have that much weight to it on how others perceived you. But here, depending on what karma level you're at, evil, super evil, nice, really, really nice, it actually provides bonuses. And I think that's pretty neat. It makes me, kind of want to think about things a little more. And then there's also things like the snow globes that you collect. Used to be neat little collectibles, but now they actually give you bonuses, and I love that. It's fine to collect bobbleheads and snow globes and all that. In in Fallout 4, where you got the bobbleheads, they actually did give you a bonus. So this kind of brings that into it, which I like. It makes me want to explore. It makes me want to really think about my decisions. Do I want to keep my karma here, or do I want to go for this evil karma to get those perks? I don't know. It's neat. It makes me want to play the game more. Another huge quality of life is the grenade system. I remember before, you kind of had to either equip the grenade on one of your slots, so picking, using up a slot, or maybe even you had to manually select it in the Pip-Boy. I just remember being a pain to just throw a grenade. You had to equip it and then throw it. Under the MCM, there's a quick throw, which is on by default, and you can, I believe it's originally bound to the G. So now if you look in the center of your screen, it shows what current throwable you have, whether it's dynamite, mine, or grenade. You can hold it to switch between those throwables, and you can just, bam, hit G and you throw that weapon. Fantastic, nice and easy. Now it's linked to another option called 3D grenade indicator, which you can see here. It kind of shows you where in the world that grenade is. It also works when enemies throw them at you, which is nice because in this game it's sometimes frantic and you have no idea where the grenades are. And it is kind of more in line again with modern shooters, where I have that little grenade indicator. You can always turn it off if you think it's cheating or whatnot. But one thing I do like, and again this increases the realism, you can link the indicator to your perception, meaning if you don't have very good perception, you're not going to see that in anyways. And if you have great perception, you're going to see it even further away. So I love it. Again, I love these kinds of mods. All right, let's talk about that bullet time option. Again, this is something you can turn off or on, but I really like it because a lot of times in the Fallout games, you get to be pretty powerful, and it's just not worth it for you to go into the VAT system anymore. It's just easier to just shoot the dudes. But in this case, you can kind of get a little bit of the VATS without actually going into VATS. It's just like it sounds. It's like the old school Max Payne. You hit X and time slows down, and it takes away your AP as it's doing so. You just can't use it indefinitely. So it's like going into VATS without that screen. It just slows down time, so you aim a little better, pop off that headshot, or maybe just like kind of collect yourself before, okay, wait, what do I want to do here? Without actually pausing the game. Again, I think it's another thing. It just makes the game more immersive. Love it. Okay, now we're going to get into some maybe controversial changes. The one that took me a while to figure out was that it was changing the whole lockpick dynamic. I noticed at one point that I had this gun, the Lucky, and I'm thinking, this looks like a really good gun. I can't believe I got it already. And looking at it, I realized most people don't get it this early on because normally it's locked in a hard safe. And that got me thinking about the whole lockpicking thing, and I realized, wait a minute, I don't have very high lockpicking skills because I wasn't making it a priority. I usually don't. But I've never run into a safe that I couldn't at least attempt to pick. But I had noticed that even easy-ish safes, I was running through a lot of lockpicks. I was failing a lot. It almost seemed harder than I realized what this mod does. And again, I love it. It's more realistic. It doesn't have the hard level caps. You can try any lockpick. You can try to pick any lock that you want. It's just the difference between your skill and the lock skill comes into effect as how hard it is to pick, how small the sweet spot is, and how easily your lock pick breaks. So cool. I like that. You maybe think, it's kind of breaking the whole, economy and the difficult weapons and unique weapons, how early on in the game you can find them. Maybe not. But my thing is, in these games, sometimes what you have to do is you have to write down on paper, all right, this was the hard lock. I'll come back to this 40 hours later. Will you? Will you forget? Will you even bother doing it? I don't know. It kind of opens up guns earlier, whatever. Sometimes it's just about having fun and what's going to maximize your fun. I tell you what, that Lucky is a pretty fun gun, but I'm not going to use it that much anyways because I'm actually going for kind of an energy weapon run, hence the name TA Swift. Leave a comment below if you get that reference. That brings me another mod tweak that I did, and that is I made it so there's no weight to ammo or aid items. Now, you might be thinking, is that too much? But hear me out. I hate thinking about, well, should I pick up this bullet or not? I don't have that gun yet, but maybe I'll get it in the future. I don't know. Now, I do realize that can break the economy. I was picking up so much dynamite. What I decided for my own sake is I'm not going to sell ammo. So I think that'll kind of solve that problem. But again, it just eases the tension, lets me just have fun with the game. And I've noticed already that I am picking up and using guns for a little bit I wouldn't normally use just because, well, I have a bunch of this weird ammo. Let's use that weird ammo. So it also makes me A, experiment more, and B, kind of not care as much about the degradation, the repair, especially early on when I'm not able to repair guns very well. In general, what I'm saying is don't get hung up on am I breaking the game. If you're having a good time, then you're having a good time. It doesn't matter. And that's why I love the New Vegas mods, because there's just so much better in a lot of ways. A lot of reasons I think I quit New Vegas was because of these little things. It kind of maybe bothered me at the time, but would definitely drive me crazy. I don't think I go into this game not being able to sprint and not having that damn scroll wheel button do what I want it to do. I know it's so dumb, but I got a lot of time these days. So the games that I play, I gotta really, really like to play them. They gotta run smooth and good. Now, this whole process wasn't exactly smooth. There was a lot of stuff I had to try to figure out, but that's why I'm imparting this knowledge to you, so that you guys can just jump in and play and have fun, and that's really what it's all about. All right, just a real quick note about New Vegas in general. Like, regardless of the mods, am I having fun with it? I am. I'm only maybe about 10 hours into this point, so I'm not even as far as I was before, because I spent all this time trying to capture this game footage and think about these mods and whatnot. But now I'm ready to have fun. I'll tell you one thought is, I do love these different ammo types. The fact that there's hollow point are better for, just fleshy targets, and the armor piercing are better for, well, piercing armor. And there's like economy bullets, which are cheaper, but they degrade your gun faster. And I kind of like that. Oh, and another thing I should have mentioned is the voice acting. In the original game, it was your typical Bethesda game for the time. There weren't that many voice actors, and everyone kind of sounded samey, even though I know this was Obsidian. But again, back in the day, you just didn't have the file size, the time, or the effort was put into voice acting. And this mod very much so overhauls that. I'm not sure the extent. Again, I can't remember the original too much, but I know there's definitely a lot more varied voice acting. And the music, too. There's a lot more to it. Nothing against the original Fallout New Vegas, but it's nice to have more musical choices. This game definitely feels like a nice, cohesive game. I've talked about on the podcast a lot that I like games that everything about it, like if you just see something about, oh, that's Fallout New Vegas, you might call it the brown Fallout because, yeah, a lot of the desert's very brown, your Pip-Boy's brown, but in a way that all kind of works. It all has this look and feel, cohesiveness. The game itself isn't quite as big as some of the others. Like the map's a little more concise and kind of funnels you through. I love that, especially now. I'm not looking for a huge open world. I'm looking for a fun open world. I want to do whatever I want, but I don't want a billion choices. Just a couple million is fine. And of course, I want to give a big shout out to all of the mod creators that put all this work into all of these wonderful mods and added them to this collection. Very Last Kiss for making this collection and making these wonderful directions and just an easier way for all of us to enjoy all of these mods. And everyone over there at Nexus, who throughout all the years have just brought new life and new visions to all these wonderful games. And to Bethesda for making these wonderful games and these wonderful worlds to play in, and through a miracle allowing us to mod the hell out of them and do some crazy shit, or sometimes just some loving stuff and keep playing these games for years to come. Love it or hate it, creation engine, pretty cool. I'm sure I'll have a lot more to talk about this game, probably in a What Yin's Playing episode. But again, I just wanted to get this out here to impart some knowledge, some tips and tricks for Yins wanting to get back into it. And really, I just wanted those that were in my situation, were like, should I go back to it? Yes, you should. Go back, go to Very Last Kisses page on the Nexus mod page thing, forum, whatever. Yeah, and just go in and have fun. Try not to think about it too much, and just have a good time, partner. All right, I'll see you in the wasteland.